What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to the show. I am honored to have with us today April Adams. She is an emotional health consultant showing women's tools you can use to get emotional relief from any emotional trigger. Her specialty is working with empaths who are dissatisfied in their romantic relationships. She's been a holistic practitioner for over 22 years. April is the author of 2 best-selling books and a life-changing workbook. Welcome to the show, April.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. And we were just talking off air about your 2 phenomenal books. Oh my goodness. We have to talk a little bit about your book, Essence. I just said it should be entitled The Bible for light workers and empaths. I just can't put it down. There's so much in there. Tell me how that book started for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I released it in 2015, and it was pretty much the compilation of everything I had learned in the first 5 or 6 years of my own healing journey into spiritual, metaphysical, self-help healing and all of that. And it was all of the things that had helped me and all of the things that I had been able to help my clients through consolidated into one book. And I started out wanting to teach it as a healing method. And then once I started creating a manual for that with all the how-tos and everything, I realized, in order to be able to do this level of healing work on yourself or anyone, you have to also be in a good place mentally, emotionally, physically. So it's all of those things to help you get there so that you can kind of really embody that highest level of self and healing.
It really is quite an amazing book. It is so empowering. I mean, like I said, I just can't get enough of it. So tell me, how did your journey begin? When did you realize I'm an empath, or even what an empath is?
Yeah, well, my healing journey in general began because I was obsessed with the honeymoon phase in my relationship. Whenever that ended, I would be literally devastated. And I spent about 3 years straight trying to get my wife to turn back into the person I had fallen in love with when things had changed. And then one day I was lamenting to myself, why does this always happen to me? And then I was like, wait a minute, this always happens to me. So the people that I've been with don't have this need, but I do. So what is it about me that has this? So I set out to figure that out. And I, went to therapy and read a whole bunch of self-help books and tried to learn everything that I could. And I took a Reiki class. And as soon as I felt the energy in my hands, there was this instant recognition of like, this is what I was supposed to do. This is a direct connection to the divine. It just hit me really quickly. And when I started doing Reiki on people, I noticed that I was feeling what was going on with them. So I wasn't just, sending energy to them, but I would suddenly lose all of my physical issues, problems, worries, all of that, and feel completely different things while I was working on someone else. So it was like I was becoming them. And then I thought about how familiar that actually was. And it started to make sense to me. Oh, no wonder I was always so uncomfortable around these people I had grown up with who were really intense or really angry a lot or had PTSD and things like that. It was just like, oh, that's what was going on all this time. So, I mean, it's great to have that gift and ability during healing, but you don't want it sneaking up on you in your day-to-day life and taking you over either.
Right. No, I completely agree. With that, what would you think would be your blessing and your most challenging aspect of being an empath that you felt since you've been on this journey for yourself?
I think that as far as the negative aspect of it, when everything is going so crazy in the world and there's just so much stress and tension, it's difficult for empaths to not just automatically pick up on the vibe out there and get worn down and start to feel anxious or depressed or whatever as a result of that. But the blessing, the top thing was just how amazing it was to be able to know exactly what was going on with my client so that I would know this is what we need to address. This is where we need to zero in and work, and also to be able to tell when it had cleared. But the thing that has really been amazing for me with the empath journey is that the more of my own stuff that I have cleared, the less I take on everybody else's stuff. So I no longer automatically feel everybody else's stuff like I used to, because I've done so much psychological work to clear my own negative emotions and reactions and triggers and things like that. So now I can choose when I want to tune into people or when I don't. So I still have the gift and ability, but it's not being put on me. I'm selecting whether I want to use it or not at any given time. And that's been the most incredible part of this whole thing.
Okay, so I know every empath is going, wait, what? Like, wait, I'm sorry. You say you're choosing what you can feel and what you can't feel? I know I'm over here going, do tell, April. Do tell. I mean, how are you not shielding yourself every day? Are you not saging like a crazy woman? So please, share that with us. Please help empower all of us empaths around the world, because that's something that, it's hard as an empath out there when you're on this path to find the answers, to even understand what's really going on within you. Right.
Well, there's a lot to the empath journey and my own personal empath journey, because when I first started figuring out that's what was going on, this was, 10, 11 years ago. And there was one book out at that time for empaths. So it wasn't a well-known thing. It was just coming out as something people were aware of. But I recognized pretty quickly that it was more of a trauma response. For most empaths, it's because you have somebody you grew up with who was emotionally unstable. And so you develop this ability to energetically, unconsciously tune into the people around you to make sure you're safe and to know, can I be free? Can I be myself? Can I be playful? Or do I need to maybe stay in the other room or stay really super quiet and well-behaved today to avoid lashing out? So I realized that most of us as empaths, it wasn't other people putting their stuff on us. It was us tuning in to them. And then we would pick up on a vibration that was similar to ours, in a trigger that we have in us that we were picking up on in someone else, and we would resonate with it and we would start being reactive to it. So in the beginning for me, the big piece was pulling in my energetic tentacles and minding my own business so that I wasn't tuning into everyone else. So that was kind of step one, and that was very beneficial. I would do that before I went to the grocery store or things like that, or if I noticed that I was feeling something that didn't make sense to my situation. And then as I got more and more intuitive, more and more into the energy healing, I was shown this way to use the energy of your spirit and expand it into this like Merkaba symbol shape around you that was kind of like an air purifier for negative energy. The way that it was shown to me was like how trees will take in what we breathe out, even though that's toxic to us. To the trees, they like that, and that's beneficial for them. And then they put out the oxygen, which is beneficial for us. It's this beautiful cycle, and nobody's depleted. There's nothing negative. And that essentially, if you do this, it's kind of a complex process that's in my books with some guided meditations to walk you through it. But it's creating at your heart center this Merkaba symbol that expands out around you, almost like a hamster ball. And then anything that gets inside of that space is automatically being transformed without depleting you. You actually get boosted the more that you're transforming that energy. So those are the things I was doing for quite some time. Whenever I noticed something felt off, I would either pull in my tentacles or I would turn on my hamster ball. As I started doing subconscious healing work on myself and removing my triggers, removing all of my traumatic events and everything, and convincing my subconscious I was safe in the face of all of those things, I was becoming less and less reactive to things. And then after a couple of years of consistently doing that work on myself just for emotional peace, I suddenly realized I'm not picking up on other people's stuff anymore. I'm not just walking into the grocery store and getting angry. I'm not like sitting next to somebody who's stressed out and getting stressed out as well. And, so then I was like, can I still do it? Did I lose my ability? And, that was there. As soon as I tune into somebody specifically, I can start to feel it, but it's more intentional now. And it's very rare at this point that I start to feel something that doesn't make sense to me. And, then I know if I am picking up on something and it is kind of taking me over, that, there's something else I haven't worked through that I need to work on. But it's been incredible to get there.
It's such an incredible perspective to look at it, that this is something that's triggering in me and I need to work on that. And I think that is very empowering versus people being afraid to go to the grocery store thinking, well, I'm going to feel everything because I'm this empath and I read that I'm supposed to feel everything. And well, yes, but no. So I find this very interesting. And you say that you just pulled in like your little spidey tentacles.
Yes.
So no shielding.
Nope.
Just
of course, the first book that I ever read, Whose Stuff Is This, was the only book that was available for empaths for a long time, did talk about shielding. And so I tried that for a while, but I really felt like it didn't resonate because it wasn't people attacking me with their stuff. It was me checking in with them to make sure I was safe with them.
I mean, that is just a complete, almost slightly mind blow, that mind shift. It really is. But it makes complete sense. And for those empaths out there that don't realize that, yes, a lot of us, most of us come from traumatic situations in childhood, whatever that may be. So that's
it's very rare that I hear anybody who didn't grow up with some kind of traumatic situation or emotionally unstable person. And I would assume that the people who don't have trauma in this life either aren't recognizing something that was traumatic as trauma, or it's coming from a past life and they've just continued to bring that gift with them, through different lifetimes. But it's so rare to hear of anybody who didn't have that kind of difficulty and become an empath.
Yeah, I myself as well, I've not met someone that has not had something. And I find it's just so intriguing. The whole process of it is very intriguing to me. And that it all really ties into the subconscious. Now, how do you feel about the nervous system and the subconscious? Do you, as far as empath, do you work with them together? Do you really feel it's more the subconscious that then triggers the nervous system, their protective mechanism?
Yeah, because when you have a trigger, so let's say something happens to you multiple times in your life. There are these synapses in your brain that automatically connect the trigger with the emotional response you would typically have to it. So those synapses, as soon as anything similar to that trigger shows up, boom, there's that emotion immediately. And that emotion is creating that stream of chemicals and stress chemicals that are flushing through your body just instantaneously without you even having to have a conscious thought about it. So in order to stop that immediate synaptic reaction, we have to convince the subconscious that we're safe in the face of whatever that trigger is. And then once the subconscious feels safe, you don't immediately have that boom response to it. And then you don't have the stress chemicals flowing through you. And now your neurons aren't all going crazy. And
Right. Which then affects the nervous system and you're like having a meltdown and you're like, oh my God, what's happening?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, how very interesting. Okay, so now let's bring this to how you developed your specialty with empaths being in romantic relationships. In reading your books, honestly, my eyes have just been open to, it's like the onion that just never stops. You just keep peeling away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so intrigued. So please expand on that, because I think this is something I had no idea, but subconsciously I probably had a pretty darn good idea.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So when we work with people, when we're in the healing industry on any level, we attract people who are similar to us. And so, I've been an empath all my life, even whether I knew it or not. And I have spent my entire life wanting my relationships to look a certain way, or being obsessed with meeting the one when I was very young. And so I've always been obsessed with that. And so I tend to attract people to me who are empathic, kind of are feeling the weight of the world, and also have all of these strong expectations on their relationships to fulfill them, and for their romantic partners to be more like them and have the same beliefs that they do, and to fulfill them in some way, and being devastated when it's not looking the way that they would want or expect it to, because that was my journey. So it's incredible to watch those kinds of people just automatically gravitate toward me. And because that's the primary wound I had to heal, it makes it so easy for me to be able to serve them, because I can walk them through exactly how to get to a place of peace in all of those kinds of situations.
What if it was possible to have local fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you, and to help support the show. Instacart, never step foot in a grocery store again. You heard it through the grapevine here, the story of Dry Farm Wines. Pure, natural wines begin from a healthy farm and ends with a vibrant sip from biodiverse vineyards to antioxidant-rich grapes. Dry Farm Wines, pure, natural wines express a completely unique wine experience, conveniently curated with wines of your choice on a schedule that's right for you. I fell in love with Dry Farm Wines about 3 years ago after I noticed I was having allergies drinking wine. When introduced to Dry Farm Wines, what I loved about them is that they're organic and biodynamic. They're vegan and lower in alcohol, sugar-friendly to keto and paleo, and free of toxic additives and low to no sulfates. You are drinking a healthy glass of wine. Not only that, they have an incredible happiness promise. If you don't like a wine for any reason, they will either replace the bottle or refund you in full, whichever you prefer. To receive your penny bottle of wine, follow the link in the show notes so that Dry Farm Wine knows that we sent you, and to help support the show. Dry Farm Wines, pure, natural, great wines from around the world delivered to your door. Do you find that most empaths are like yourself in romantic relationships? Are you ready to lose inches, increase strength, and tone your body from head to toe? Are you ready for a total body, mind, and spirit transformation? I am excited to announce that I am launching my exclusive 8-week Pilates Return to Life training program. This will give you an opportunity to have a total body, mind, and spirit transformation of health and wellness to a new lifestyle. Imagine in 7 days you will feel a difference, in 14 days you will see a difference, and in 8 weeks you will have your new Pilates body. So what do you say? Want to join me on the mat? Head over to jenniferpilates.com today. Space is limited. Use this special promo code EW and the word special, EW special, to receive $200 off while space is available. Head on over to jenniferpilates.com and I'll see you on the mat.
Yeah, it tends to be pretty common. There's a lot of a pattern of wanting their romantic partner to always be happy and to be up and to be well. And because we suffer when the person that we're around all the time is suffering. And so we don't realize how selfish it is. We think we're, trying to fix them, but honestly, it's because we can't be comfortable until they are. But of course, that's a myth, but that's the perception. That's the feeling of I need to do something to make this person happy so that they can relax, so that I can finally relax. And, if you look at the traumatic history for empaths too, there usually is a people-pleasing tendency that, we had to people please whoever that person was in our lives who was emotionally unstable. We had to make sure that they were always pleased and comfortable at everything and non-reactive so that we could feel safe too. So we repeat that in our relationships as well. So there's definitely, a little bit of both, because I had that tendency, but I also had the tendency to try to control my partner into meeting my needs and things like that. So there's kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, let me please you and try to do everything to make you happy and comfortable and everything, but you damn well better do that for me too,
Right. Yeah. Now, do you feel it is a myth, or do you feel that because of that kind of pleasing aspect and the traumatic situations that empaths have gone through, that they do tend to attract narcissists or people with narcissist personalities?
I would more likely put that to the negative patterns, and like we are attracted to familiar. So typically if we have a narcissistic parent or highly, intense effect person in our lives as a child, we will probably also be drawn to that and draw that to us because it's what we're used to, what we're familiar with. And we don't know that there's something else that's possible. And, even if we see an entirely different option out there, it seems so alien to us. We don't know what to make of it when somebody is actually genuine and sweet and kind and caring. It feels weird. It feels boring. There's a strong tendency to keep going to these big personalities if that's what we grew up with. Mm-hmm. So that's part of what we have to heal too, is the wounding of that, the expectation, the tendency to feel boredom around those kinds of things.
Right. So for the women out there who are listening going, yep, that's me every time. Is there hope? Is there hope, April, that are those triggers and emotions that can be healed so that empaths as women in relationships can find peace in a very chaotic, free relationship that's really happy?
Yes, absolutely. I have walked that path myself, and it's really astonishing what you can accomplish by dealing with your subconscious mind. And not only your emotional triggers, but also the belief patterns and things that you run that control how you behave, because our behaviors are driven by our unconscious beliefs. So when you grow up and you're bullied multiple times, you tend to form this belief of either that's how everybody treats me or that's how I deserve to be treated. And then energetically, it's like we're broadcasting that belief about ourselves out to the world. So it's almost like we've got these invisible billboards above our heads. And people who don't resonate with that are going to see that and run the other way. They're just not even going to be drawn to us. But the people who do resonate with that are going to come right in, and they're going to prove that belief to us even more strongly. They're going to continue to treat us that way. And then that belief is going to become even stronger. And then we're going to attract even more of that. And it just perpetuates itself in this endless cycle until you heal that belief or that perception. This is how I deserve to be treated, or this is how I always get treated. When you heal that as your belief pattern, you change what your billboard is saying, and you start drawing different people to you.
Right. And drawing different experiences within your own life as well.
Yes.
How amazing. Okay. So for someone who says, well, this sounds amazing, April, like sign a girl up, like untrigger me.
Right.
How would you explain your process when you're working with clients so that they understand? Because it's very special, and I know that part of it is in your book, Essence. Explain that so that people are a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah, and it is very different than anything else that people have experienced. The main thing is that if you have tried a million things, because that's where I was, I had tried self-help and energy healing and therapy and all kinds of things like that, and nothing had taken care of my issues. But once I started to deal with the subconscious mind, I was seeing big shifts left and right, because that's what drives us. So I finally found, like just at the end of when I had published my 2 books in 2015, right at the end of that year was when I discovered the most powerful subconscious healing tools I had ever encountered. And these are basically audio tracks that you listen to while you think about whatever is bothering you. So if you have a trigger or something, you basically freak out about that trigger just like your brain naturally wants to do. And it is convincing your subconscious mind that you're safe. It is decoupling that negative reaction from that trigger so that you're able to just look at that thing from a much more calm, logical standpoint. And the reason it works so well is it basically takes every different subconscious brain retraining method and modality that has ever been proven effective into one set of tools. So it just takes all of them, and so it works faster. It works more long-term than anything else. Where before, I would go for hypnosis, I would go for EMDR, I would do EFT on myself, and it would still come back. Like I would still have to peel the layers and work through the layers of a particular issue. But when you combine everything that works, you can actually clear things much more quickly and easily, and not have to keep peeling the layers of the onion, but actually dig the whole onion up and throw it away. And that really allows you to work through way more things than you would be able to if you were only using one of those modalities on something.
Right. So it sounds like, one, you're actually getting to the root. So you're going to the actual root cause and starting there and getting rid of it versus, like you're saying, going through piece after piece. And it definitely sounds like a lot more bang for your buck. I mean, for somebody now, and I kind of heard this coming in, which is really interesting. This message kind of came in the middle of that. So somewhere, a woman is thinking this. So someone that's in a relationship now and say that it is maybe a hot mess or isn't the best for them. And they're saying, well, oh my God, like if I do this, because as an empath, there's always going to be that fear. If I do that and my whole world changes, my God, April, what happens? Like, am I getting divorced? Am I breaking up? Because like as empaths, that's going to be the next thing. Like, the instability is coming in. So what do you say to that woman to go, hold on a minute, here's what really happens?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, when I cleared my biggest trigger, I'll be completely honest, I spent about a month going, who the hell am I now? Because I had always identified as this highly sexual person. I had spent my whole life wanting to be famous. And so working on my whole theme of being unwanted throughout my life just cleared that completely. And so then I'm going, well, what's my purpose? What's my purpose in my work if I don't care about being famous? How do I identify myself if I'm not touting myself as this highly sexual person anymore and making that such an important thing? And at the same time, I was also going, you know what? That neuroses isn't bothering me anymore. So what the hell do I care who I am? I'm actually at peace for the first time in my life. So while I was having this sort of identity crisis, at the same time, I was overjoyed because I was finally at a place of peace and I wasn't constantly looping on the same negative thoughts the whole time. So that was part of my journey. But I get that question so often. people don't know who they are without their suffering, or they're afraid that they're going to outgrow their spouse. And, certainly when I started doing this work, my wife was afraid that I would outgrow her if I was doing all this work on myself. But often they grow along with us, even when they're not doing the same level of work. So it's amazing when you start committing and just doing the work on yourself and putting your nose to the grindstone and not expecting it of anybody else, what starts to shift automatically anyway. But even if you choose to leave your relationship, you'll be able to make peace with whatever that looks like at the time. And often with those people who have that question, one of the first things we will work on is their fear of too much change. And that's the beauty of these tools, is anything that you're afraid of in doing this work, anything you don't like about doing the work, like facing your negative emotions, you can actually use these audio tracks to get relief from that, to get out of your own way, to be able to follow through and do the work. So, it solves itself essentially, but that's also partially what I'm there for, because these tools are available to anybody to be able to use on their own. They were built originally as self-help tools. However, what I have found over the years, because in the beginning I was just telling everybody, go use these tools, go download, and nobody was. People weren't following through, or they would do a couple of rounds and then move on. But the ability to have the detachment from someone's story and show them what's the root of this issue, so you can clear it there. Why is this thing continuing to show up in your life? What is the negative or limiting belief you have that's blocking you in this scenario? So that's what I am. I'm that detached part of it, being able to show people exactly what they need to be thinking while they're using these tools, how to get exactly where they want to be with them. And so when people have blocks to doing the work, when they have resistance, that's part of what I'm here to guide them through, is how to get out of their way so that they can actually find that peace.
Right. So to the empath out there, to the woman out there who's saying, well, April, I met this guy and he's offering me the world. My God, it's everything that I've wanted. Oh my God, what do I do? Because there's that flip side, right? There's that flip side also to, well, I know I asked for all this, universe, and now you're showing, what am I supposed to do with this? Because so used to being in chaos, but yet maybe, let's say, half healed in the healing. And so now you're starting to draw in this beautiful new energy. And there's so you're in that half and half world. What do we say to these people?
Well, it depends on what the resistance is that's coming up. Like, what is the fear? Is it, that it doesn't feel familiar, that, it's a different kind of person? Then I would work on whatever that fear or trepidation is, or that sense of discomfort around that kind of change. For some people, it's, it feels too soft, it feels too dull, it feels too peaceful, and I don't know what to do without the roller coaster. Well, working on that discomfort around that peace and calm and grounded kind of relationship. It can sometimes also be our intuition, because a lot of times those really big, powerful connections can be very triggering, and it can be a narcissist that you've drawn in, especially if they're like really over the top in the beginning. It's a clear red flag if they're love bombing you right off the bat. So sometimes it's our intuition showing us, but my first inclination is always to clear the fear and the discomfort first, because if it's our intuition, we will continue to be uncomfortable with it. Even after we've cleared our reactivity to it, we will still feel wrong with it. So my go-to is always clear your fear, clear your discomfort, get rid of the emotional reactivity to whatever it is, and then sit with it. And if it's still not feeling right, then it's your intuition going, no, get out, this isn't correct.
Right. Well, that's excellent advice. I really think that this is going to help so many people. Geez, I feel like so. This is amazing. I don't think you could pack any more value in if you tried, Miss April. You've gone full circle on the empath. I love this. This is amazing. So over the years, I know you said that it's been really difficult as you've been on your healing journey. Are there mentors or are there healers along the way or books that you were like, oh my gosh, like if there's one book besides your book Essence, which honestly, and I truly am like, holy mackerel, this really is a Bible for empaths. And please, everyone, we'll have links for you to be able to go get it. Along the way, what really helped you? What moments really made the difference and really kind of gave you those pivots along the way?
Right. Yeah. Well, I would say that one of the first books that was really big for me was Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, and Wayne Dyer's Your Erroneous Zones was also very good. Currently, I love Joe Dispenza and absolutely adore his book, Becoming Superhuman. But I feel like it's very next level because I am able to reach the levels of bliss that he's discussing in the book, primarily because I don't have negative thoughts blocking my ability to meditate like most people do. But, so it's more like if you're looking to level up and you want to bliss out, that book is amazing, but it's a million times easier if you aren't running a whole bunch of negative programming and traumas and things like that going on. But as far as relationships go, because that was my big thing, there was a book called One Soul, One Love, One Heart by John Welshons that is just incredible for recognizing it's not my partner's job to satisfy me in my life, that I need to figure out how to satisfy myself and find fulfillment there. And then the other big key was a book called The Erotic Mind by Jack Morin, who's a sex therapist. And his whole premise is that we as adults use our sex lives to try to get the emotional needs met that weren't met when we were children. And that's what unlocked my biggest trigger and helped me figure out why I was obsessed with the honeymoon phase. And it was like, it led all the way back to being an unplanned pregnancy. So that was the key, the piece that I needed to finally figure out, oh, that's why I have always had this obsession. And then being able to heal that there. So that one was really pivotal for me.
Wow, those are great examples. And again, across the board, thank you for sharing those. Those are wonderful. So April,
books are incredible.
Yeah, books are incredible. I mean, they really are. They're timeless. And I'm very old school for everyone. And everyone out there knows that if you're listening, you're an avid listener of the show. Like I want to feel it. Like April's books, literally you can feel her coming through, her energy. And that's why pre the show, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like we've been BFFs for between watching her on Instagram. She has an incredible Instagram, and her books. I'm like, I feel like I've known her for years. So I thank you for that, for sure. Definitely.
It's my pleasure. And I'm honored that you're enjoying it and that you wanted to have me on to talk about it. It's, so important for more people to have access to this stuff.
It truly is. It truly is. And I agree, like you, when I found out I was an empath and then I started to dissect, and then it was like, well, wait a minute, that's how I became an empath? And then it was like, after the initial oh, this is your fault, then it was like, you know what, thank you so much that I'm so strong and I feel so much and I know so much, but it takes a while. It takes a minute.
Right. Oh yeah.
It takes a minute. And there's a lot of healing that goes on and still in the journey. So your book is definitely helping me with that. So I thank you very much for that. So,
wonderful.
Thank you. We are getting to that time in the show where I ask this one question. Are you ready, Miss April?
I hope so.
What is one thing that no one knows about April Adams?
What is it that no one knows about me? That's a tough one. Well, a big thing is just how much I moved around, like how much change and transition was happening for me when I was a child. It was just constant movement and, going from my mom being with my real dad to being with my stepdad, and us moving from Detroit to Kansas to Germany to back to Detroit, up to Northern Michigan, like just boom, 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 kind of all over the place, and constant move and transition and stuff. So I feel like that's part of what allows me to connect with people quickly and easily, and to allow people to move in and out of my life much more smoothly. And that was not easy as a kid, but I think that that's probably what has given me those capabilities to connect and then allow the disconnection when something has moved on from where it needs to be.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, I had a very similar parallel.
Really?
Yes, like I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, that all makes complete sense. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Well, as we are wrapping up the show, what is one piece of inspiration that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
The top message that I have for anybody is if you want long-term quick relief from anything emotional, you have to deal with it on the subconscious level. You can use hypnosis, you can use EFT, EMDR, all kinds of different methods, NLP, and they are all effective if you stick with them. But these tools that you can find at the link that I'll share that you can kind of pass on to people just combines everything. And so you can just get way better, faster relief even than those other tools, which are all incredible on their own. But to bring it, full circle and be able to have everything in one place is priceless.
It truly is priceless. Like, why wouldn't we? Like, I'm thinking, okay, everyone, I'm already going to put it out there that I'd like to have April back. I will work with her. I will experiment with her, and we can come back and talk about it and talk about amazing changes, because this sounds absolutely what every empath, and myself included, has been searching or looking, or that next piece along on that healing journey. When, like you're saying, you've done all of the healing and you've worked with different healers and this, and you're clearing past lives and this, that, and you're still, human and having some triggers. You can feel that you're so close to that golden bridge. Right. You're so close. And I feel like everything that you've explained today could be exactly what myself and numerous other empaths around the world are looking for. So again, I thank you for that. And thank you so much for sharing your personal journey and your story with us and your insights, because that truly just brings it home for so many different people on so many different levels.
Yeah, and it's my pleasure. I feel like this is my divine purpose in life, is to get this out there so that people can heal and find peace.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And all of April's links and every way that you can get in touch with her and order her books will be over in the show notes on jenniferpilates.com. So you can hop over and check out all that. And you too can work with April and connect with her on Instagram, read her book. We can all come back together and have a kumbaya of how amazing we all are.
I can't wait.
I can't wait too. Well, April, thank you again for being here. This has been just an incredible opportunity to have you here. And I'm honored that you shared your story and your insights with us. It's just been a beautiful time. Thank you.
My honor and pleasure as well. Thank you.
All right. Well, as we say, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.